Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Balance Beam. I'm your host, Naketa Thigpen, and of course, without hesitation, I bring you nothing but the best from everyone in every industry on every level. And today, I have to say, you are sitting amongst a major player in Philadelphia and New Jersey. Michael Adler is not only a judicial law officer, he is a major man across all Esquire everything, from dealing with publicly traded companies that are privately held, restaurants, corporations, real estate, you name it, to a man after my own heart because he has such a great creative side to himself. And although he might not be the one doing the painting and the artistry, he's really connected to what is the spirit of Philadelphia, my hometown. So I wanted to make sure that he leverages all those opportunities to share that with you. And he's a little bit humble, so I'm going to have to pull it out of him here and there. But I have to welcome Michael Adler to the Balance Beam so you can tell everyone how incredible you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad you read the script that my mother sent you. Nah, I'm not too modest, but I'll try to keep myself reserved today. But thanks. I'm really grateful for being here. I've seen some of your prior episodes, and this is a phenomenal platform for people to be on. So I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you, Michael. You are more humble than you realize, considering I've seen your bio. And I know all the things that you've done, and we have a lot of people connected to us. So, the streets are talking. I'll leave that right there. You've done amazing things, and I know you won't even have an opportunity to go in as deeply as I would love to. But if you would take an opportunity to share with every balance beamer who's never heard from you before, all the incredible things you do, both in your law practice and outside of that.
Okay. So where do we start? What do you want to hear?
I want to hear first about what you do in your business, because I know your business is, very serious and you have multiple levels of that, including some of the pro bono stuff you do too. But let's start with your, the things that pay your bills.
June of 2013, the day I turned 40, I opened the law office of Michael Adler. So I'm the managing partner of my own law firm, and we focus on business law, we focus on real estate, and all sorts of litigation. I work with nonprofits. So on the business side, it's everything from business formation and partnership creation to partnership fights and business divorce and contract disputes and non-compete. All sorts of things that a general counsel or startup business or growing business, mid-sized business sort of needs a lawyer as an advocate. On the real estate side, I do everything now from zoning and land use to buying and selling and tax cases, tax appeals, tax assessment. On the nonprofit side, as you know, I represent a lot of artists and galleries. I represent a lot of folks in the arts and entertainment space, and musicians and sculptors and painters and muralists, and involved with a lot of Philadelphia's greatest things going on now.
Notice how you just sum all that up in a sentence, but you still didn't talk about the fact that you were in, Philadelphia Law Weekly, voted lawyer on the fast track. Was that not one of your many accolades that were there? Oh, wait, don't even say anything yet. Then you have all these advisories that you're on, pro bono stuff that you do with the Support Center for Child Advocates, which I definitely love.
Center for Child Advocates, an amazing organization. I've been doing that work since I graduated law school, and I'm very, very grateful for their organization. So, yeah.
You're so humble. I love it. You do so much. It's incredible. Okay, on the fun side of your life, and because I know you have children and you do some really entertaining things with them, only because I see you on Facebook posting some of those pictures, and you guys really get it in. You go to really eclectic carnivals and art galleries and all kinds of different things. You don't just do the normal, let's go to the baseball field stuff with your parents. How are you squeezing that in the midst of all the little things that you have going on?
Yeah, well, it's all about prioritizing. So in addition to running a law firm, which is a very important priority to me, of course, my kids are really number one priority. I have a 10-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old son. So she's entering 5th grade and he's entering 3rd grade. And we just have quality time. And I think they'll be honest, and they enjoy actually coming to these festivals with their dad. They're still at the age that they enjoy some time with dad. But also I bring them to political events. I kind of blend them into my life. I want them to be a part of the things I'm involved with, because I'm passionate about the things that I'm doing. I want them to see me around the things that, I'm passionate about, and they can make their own choices, but we all enjoy each other's company.
You can see that on their faces. There's no question. They don't look like they were drugged to anything that they didn't want to attend and like, oh gosh, here we go again. They really look like they're enjoying it. And you're right. They're at those ages where they're kind of still interested in you. Give them a couple more years, but
No, I mean, even it's mid-August now when we're talking, and whenever this becomes live on the internet, or when someone's viewing this 5 years from now, the next 3 weeks before they go back to school, we're going. We've got some things they don't even know about. We're going to Six Flags Great Adventure for a day. We're going to go to the U.S. Open. We're going to go to see the Camden River Sharks. So I just want to make sure that they go to festivals and fun stuff, and they can sit around playing with their iPod. But I didn't do that as a kid, and I want them to be out. We go hiking. We go geocaching, one of my favorite little hobbies, to go scavenger hunting in the woods. If you don't know what it is, you'll check it out after this. One of my favorite little hiking things to do.
no. You know what? I have heard of geocaching. I had a moment where I paused in my head, and you probably saw that. Like, that sounds so familiar. That's using a lot of problem solving skills. It's really fun. You have to find things that are hidden through your mobile phone and go to the different locations, right?
Yeah, one way I describe it, it's like finding Tupperware containers in the woods using a satellite and your phone.
That is an interesting way to describe it.
There's about 2.5 million items hidden around the world. There's over 1 million hidden in the United States. And there's this little user group of 8 to 10 million people who are hiding things and finding things all over the place. But you don't want people to see you searching for things in the middle, because they'll think you're crazy. You're like looking under rocks and trees and stuff, and they'll probably just arrest you. But if otherwise, it's a fun thing to be in the middle of nowhere and to be, looking for something that someone else has left, because there's little trinkets and toys inside. And it's a fun game for kids. It's a fun game for groups to do. And I've enjoyed it. I like being outside.
Well, here's the benefit of someone doing geocaching as their way to kind of bring it down, or maybe they just want to work their brain muscle a little bit different. Because this sounds really exciting, by the way, which is kind of why I'm stuck on it right now. You're a lawyer. So if I'm out there, I don't know, if I'm on somebody else's property and I'm looking for geocache things because that's, the path that I'm on in that particular hour, I know you. So I could easily call you and say, listen, this person said I'm trespassing.
Well, you do raise a good point. Fortunately, the geocaching community has some rules. Most of the geocaches have to be in public places. They're not like inside a restaurant. They're inside a park, a public right of way, maybe even a mall parking lot. There are some in Center City that you've walked by every day and you didn't realize that the geocache hid underneath a park bench. Or right on Sansom Street, Jewelers Row, there's been one that's been there for 10, 12 years that tens of thousands of people have found and logged in on the app. So just something to start, new hobby maybe.
No, I really love this. So when you find it, you're just kind of like, hey, I found it, taking a picture maybe to prove it, and sharing your geolocation to prove that you're at the space, but you're not taking it and doing anything with it, right?
Yes and no. So there's usually a log inside. Even if it's a tiny little geocache this big, you unroll the log and you sign your initials. There's an app that you actually log in, you found it, and you leave a note for the person who left it. But some of them are larger, and some of them, it goes back to the old rule. Some of them are actually 5-gallon drums, which may have DVDs or other treasures in there. The original idea, which started, back in the late 90s, was take something, leave something. Leave it better than you found it. Sort of the old Boy Scout motto. And yes, I'm a Boy Scout back in the day. Not an Eagle Scout, but, on my honor, I'll do my best. So all that stuff.
That makes sense considering you took a similar oath like 20 years later when you went to law school.
Correct.
That's crazy. I mean, I love that you do this because for me, it would be something to do as part of a family activity or something. I have 101 godchildren, no exaggeration. So I probably would, integrate that into that. But for other people who have a hard time maybe shutting down their mind and they relax by still keeping it going, because there are people who don't want to meditate, they don't want to go into that quiet space that's not comfortable for them, as a way to bring it down. And especially considering they're all over the world, geocaching may be something to do if you have 20 minutes or a half an hour between your meeting and maybe you happen to work or be traveling in a space that is full of awesome opportunities to find things, that could be something that people could infuse as their way to give themselves permission to pause in a really unique way. So I kind of think it's dope, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I've kind of recommended to a bunch of people, even brought clients on geocaching trips with me, and they're addicted now. It's really a hobby that most people say they've never heard about, maybe sort of heard about. And then once you do it and you sort of get hooked, it can be frustrating when you're out there in the middle of the woods and you can't find the thing you know is there because it's really hidden really well. But
Mhm.
it's a really super relaxing thing, exercise thing. And frankly, I'll be honest with you, I'm in the middle of the woods. I'll sometimes take a client call too. I mean, on a Sunday, on a Friday work casual, I have the best boss. I work for myself.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's a geocache day, but I'll be billing, I'll be working. I'll take a 10-minute break between each 50-minute hike, take a look at my emails, even take a call in the middle of the woods. Some people will say, "Is that birds chirping?" But I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in the office." But so it's been a great way for me to find a little bit of balance, to stay active, but also like enjoy a hobby that brings me back to the hiking days of my youth and when I was a Boy Scout a little bit, Cub Scout. So I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Well, Michael, you raise a point though, because people think, I always start with when I'm interviewed, someone will say, well, what's unique about work-life balance, or what is it? And I'll tell them what it isn't. It's not a 50-50 situation, because no relationship is. When you're in a marriage, when you're dating, if you're a parent, there is no 50-50. Someone is overruling at some point in that conversation, and your work-life balance is the same. So you have to find ways to infuse it in a way that makes sense for you. Now, fortunately, and you are a little bit biased, just a little bit, that you're the best boss because you're your own boss. But I share that same sentiment. I'm my own boss, and I have to find really unique and creative ways, because maybe I'm not going to take a 2 week vacation. That's just not what I'm going to do in the middle of a high season when we're doing a lot of professional development trainings or retreats, or there's a lot of business breakthrough things going on for entrepreneurs, or whatever the case is. But I sure will pull out my trampoline, which is about 32 inches in diameter, and I'll jump on that thing for 20 minutes until I'm hot and sweaty.
That's awesome. Yeah.
you know, it's good stuff. So I'm glad that you're taking walks through the park, or in your case, the woods. I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. I don't know if I would do the woods without having someone with me, but
I think a lot of people make mistakes. You may have talked about this on prior episodes. I think people try to silo work-life balance and try to have work in one silo and life in another balance. And I think you'll never be happy on both sides because you'll never feel like you're doing enough work or doing enough life. And I blend it a little bit. And I think you've seen even on my Facebook wall, I blend it a little bit. Some people say, "Oh, I only invite my clients. I only invite my friends or my family on my Facebook wall. I don't invite my clients." Well, I kind of blend it a little bit. I kind of, because I enjoy all the silos, I don't want to keep them siloed. I want to blend them. I want my work clients to see a little of my life so they can get to know me, like me, and trust me a little more than just I'm their lawyer. So that's kind of how I've tried to, blend. I mean, that way I can sort of get more than 24 hours out of one day a little bit by not having these regimented silos.
absolutely, it's more fulfilling if you're in a blessed situation to do something you actually love to do. And you're obviously very skilled at what you do. You have a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge, a lot of certifications, degrees, the whole shebang. And I know you stay up on everything. What is it lawyers take? The CLEs?
Continuing legal education, you got it. CLEs, you're on it.
I remembered. I remembered. But with all your CLEs, I know you stay up on it in addition to your actual work practice. But there's that side of you when you have, I don't know, I'll just pick on one of your real estate clients. I know you work across the gamut, but just choosing that dimension of your hat for a second. If you have a real estate client who has all this property, is dealing with, maybe someone who's renting that property is dealing with a merger and acquisition. So there's an opportunity that they may have to come out of the building because the new company is taking over, and then they're dealing with all these other aspects of residential properties, other types of commercial properties, all these things. They're stressed, and yes, they know that Michael Adler Esquire can handle their business, but sometimes they want to talk to the Michael Adler Esquire who is a father, who is a human, who is a man, to just know that you get while they're overwhelmed, and you're not judging them as an incapable owner or property management company or firm or anything. You're saying, I get it. This is really stressful.
Yep. I
Let me
think
talk to you.
legal advisor is sometimes the last hat I wear for clients. It's sometimes psychologist, it's sometimes friend, it's sometimes connector or just business advisor. Sort of, I've done that. I've been there. Just give me advice. What would you do? And sometimes that's not the smartest guy who went to Harvard or Yale. No disrespect to Harvard and Yale, but shout out to Temple Law, and just, sort of people who are like just street smart and have lived, the lives that my clients have lived. So I think that's why I connect on a real close basis with many, many of my clients.
I wonder if that's a Temple thing, or if it's a Michael thing. Every last one of my friends that are in my inner circle, for whatever crazy reason, are from Temple. I'm not really sure why.
Temple owls are everywhere. If you
I
zoom
know.
in, you can probably see Temple behind me. I've got some Temple stuff on my wall right behind me. So we're all proud. Temple owls are everywhere. And it's a proud school of just great people, great leaders, great connections, great network. And we stay in Philly. So
You're special people too, and I say that with love. I had a friend take me to a Temple Black alumni meeting, so they were passing out the stickers of Black alumni. And of course, I was just a guest. I was like, "Well, I'm not a Temple alum." She's like, "You can wear it." I was like, "No, I'm Drexel and Bryn Mawr Walden. Sorry." So we had a whole battle at the table about it, but it was just really good fun. And I feel like people who go to Temple have such a good energy and a great spirit, obviously, because they're friends of mine, but that you do have such a down to earth warmth. Like, no matter how smart and intelligent you are, you're very grounded people. And I think that there's something to say for Temple, even though I'm not an owl, but I'll give them a shout out on that.
all right. Well, I won't disagree with you at all on that point.
To say the least. So I know what you do with your kids when you're bringing it down, when you're unwinding, when you're just trying to make sure that you're infusing some balance for them to make sure they understand there's nothing wrong with your iPod and electronics, because nerd kids, code kids, tech kids are awesome, especially if they're interested in that on any level. But you want to make sure that they see the outside world. What do you do for you though when you're in your private time and you're not, if there is such a thing of not having your parent hat on 20 minutes a day or however often you can do it? What do you do for you?
Other than the hiking and geocaching, which I love to be by myself sometimes and just do that. That's my own time. I'm a foodie, so there's probably not a new restaurant in Philadelphia or a coming soon restaurant that I'm not already checking Open Table and seeing if I can get a reservation. I like to sort of know where to go and where to be, especially in my hometown. I like to travel. I've done a fair bit of travel, but I hope to do a lot more. My favorite places on earth would be like Scotland or Ireland up in the Northern Europe. I have not yet been to Italy, France, or sort of the Mediterranean area. I've been to Mexico and Canada, but more travel. I mean, I love seeing new things. I love learning and even connecting people when I'm there. It's always amazing when I'm away how random it is, but I'll be in an airport in a foreign country and I'll be like, oh, wow, I know you. Where do we know each other from? So small, small, small world.
It is a small world. We just interviewed an incredible woman named Deborah Asserit, who owns Popcorn Productions out in New York, and she recommended a place I'm going to connect you to for lots of reasons. But one of the things that just came to mind is she is French originally. That is her background. But she told me about an island that's called Beckwith, that's out near St. Vincent somewhere. And she just says, before you die, you have to go there. So since you're a traveler and a foodie, because they apparently have both things there, I think that that's something you might want to check out on, potentially your bucket list. And I'll give you some information when I connect you to later. That'll be awesome. But you have this creative hat too, Michael. Like, you're on a lot of creative boards. Obviously, you represent artists on all kinds of different levels. But when you and I had a conversation probably about a month ago at this point, when we were at a networking event in Center City, I remember you telling me about some really amazing things that had just started. Some just really eclectic things. And I don't want to drop the dime on some things that were just like an early sneak peek versus some things that, you could officially talk about because, your clients have given you the okay to promote it or to mention it. But is there anything up and coming that creatives, street artists, anyone in that realm, makers, should be aware of that's happening in Philadelphia?
Oh, sure. So very proud to announce I've been involved with this startup for a while, and we had a launch party just on July 31st. It's called ArtJawn, ARTJAWN. The website's gone live. By the time your viewers are seeing this, is probably most of the bugs will be kinked out, but we're enjoying. This is really like there's a $3.4 billion art market in Philadelphia, according to the United States Chamber of Commerce's Cultural Vitality Index. And that number, I don't know how the economists come up with that number, but it's a combination of salaries of people in the art business, like museums and galleries and musicians, but also buying, selling, the restaurants that support the business. And 3.4 billion is kind of a nice size market. So we're trying to capture a lot of that on ArtJon. ArtJon is an e-commerce site. Think of it as like an Etsy or eBay for Philadelphia, where buyers and sellers and makers and barterers and collectors and philanthropists can all create a profile and sort of be and have a place on ArtJon. It's like their own profile, and bring their friends and bring their likes and find and sell art from a $10 print to a $50,000 commission. And that's not much different than many other sites, but what we're really doing is trying to connect the Philadelphia arts community and trying to have an interactive museum. We're going to be raising funds through ArtJon for something called PIMOCA, PIMOCA, which is the Philadelphia Interactive Museum of Contemporary Art, which will eventually be looking for a home, and that's a nonprofit. And what that will do is the artists who are sort of doing commerce and bringing their friends onto ArtJon will get free gallery space, making the clicks to bricks. The ArtJon will connect with PIMOCA and making Philadelphia even a more amazing arts community than it already is. That's the short version of all that.
No, that is incredible. I mean, you're really helping not only the artists come together because obviously they can muse each other in different ways. Philadelphia is such a large and small city all at the same time. I don't even think it's 6 degrees of separation here. It's more like three. But if you're in a bubble, which some creatives are, especially when they're in maker mode, they're kind of stuck in that bubble. They're disconnected from the world and all those things that could actually help them. You're giving them a platform that say like, hey, John, did you know Jane literally is up the street from you and she's doing this amazing event that not only would be good for you, but maybe for some of the, friends and family or colleagues or clients that you have that are looking for something unique so you can still always be the resource that they come to for anything art. I think it's pretty amazing, and it'll help kind of limit the whole starving artist aspect of what you have to go to because you're helping them with their financial foundation so they can continue to do the thing that they love the most and stay focused on what matters.
You're right on it. In the last few days, even over the weekend and late last week and even today, I've had meetings with clients who are like wedding photographers or muralists. The thing artists generally don't know, and I love working with creative types. I have a lot of creative skill in my family, all of which just passed over me. So I give back. I love to be around creative people. I can't even draw, but the artists, generally one thing artists just don't know how to do is how to price themselves. What is a mural worth? All right, someone wants me to do a mural inside their restaurant. Am I charging them $15 an hour, or am I charging them per square foot? Wedding photographers, most wedding photographers that want to start out their business are out there literally charging for $500 for a whole gig because they want the business. But as they start getting more and more gigs, they realize that that's not really the going price and they deserve more. And the average price, I'm not going to put it out there, but it's a lot higher than that. So, as they work with professionals and become professionals, they also protect themselves with contracts and lawyers. And this is all part of the starting of any business, but particularly the creative economy, which is the engine of our economy here in Philadelphia, which is where all the new jobs are being created. So, shout out to Councilman David O, who chairs Philadelphia's GOSI committee, which is the Global Opportunities in the Creative Innovative Economy Committee of our Philadelphia City Council, and holding hearings on this because this is where job growth is happening. It's not happening in our banking sector, our manufacturing sector, even our legal sector. It's the you and me, the bosses, the creative economy. It's people working from themselves or hiring people in this new 21st century creative economy. And these people need to treat themselves like business owners, protect themselves like business owners, and have the people they deal with treat them like business owners so that they can get paid.
And as you mentioned, to your point, and this is a plug on purpose, to be protected as business owners. Because when you're a creative, it's really even a helper, a creative and a helper, kind of the same, but coming from different, entry points. You're really a little uneasy with legitimizing things in such a logistical way with numbers and paper and contracts, which is why they need advisors and coaches and lawyers to make sure that they have everything layered the way that they need to make sure they're protected, because unfortunately not everyone that they run into that wants something from them is working in integrity, and that's just a reality.
Totally true. And in this economy, people are not opening storefronts in retail. There's the e-commerce economy, but also there's just the internet economy. There's crowdfunding. There's selling your wares by finding your audience. And I help a lot of for-profits and non-for-profits on just launching a successful crowdfunding campaign, what crowdfunding is, how to do it successfully, how to connect or build your audience through social media crowdfunding, and actually get dollars into your bank account and sell your goods, sell your services, produce your film, get your album produced. It's an exciting time to be an entrepreneur, because the barriers to entry of coming up with an idea and getting to market and the time to do so has just gotten so much easier and so much quicker. So you just have to have a plan, a new plan.
Yeah, no, Michael, you raised a good point. So I'm playing angelic advocate on that one, right? There's a discrepancy for a lot of authors out there, and I'm an author, but I'm an author by default. There's no shame. I say it all the time. My gift is in my mouth. I'm a speaker first, but I can't speak to everyone at all time, and sometimes everything I have that's awesome to say isn't captured in the moment. So I do write it down and I plug it in a book, but that is totally not my gifting. There are so many better authors out there. But there are people who would say, that's the problem with Create Space on Amazon, is anybody can be an author now. Anyone can write an ebook, which to their point, they're right, which it kind of dilutes the system in some ways when when there's not a thicker barrier of entry, kind of like as a filter system. On one hand, we don't want it to be there because we want everyone to have equal access, especially if they have something to offer that could connect and engage and impact people at whatever level moves them. On the other hand, here comes the piranhas that are, maybe they have business savvy, but they don't have any creative talent. Maybe they're really not authors, they're really not painters, they're really not that great, but because they had the money and the connections and the resources, they're jumping over those people who really do have the talent, who you helped create, and your clients created these platforms for. So I picked on authorship a little bit because I know that is a major discussion out in authorship land with what is that book, lulu.com, and some of the other publishers for self-publishing that you could do to create your own books and your own logo wares and all those other things. And even for some creatives, they will say that's taking business from us, because now you think that you're a designer because someone gave you a meme generator and you've created something digitally, but it's not the same as what I do as someone who, whether you're self-taught and really love what you do and happen to be good at it, or you went through Temple's art program or NYU or Drexel or whatever the case is. So are you finding any of that rumbling coming up in the creative world, or even in your other hat, in your professional self, when they're getting some of these people come sit in front of them and say, I made $500,000 because my YouTube went viral and I have sponsorship, so I want space from you now. And then because they don't get the business aspect of it, they're getting into these leases, they're getting into these bonds, and it's jeopardizing your clients because they didn't really have, both sides of what they needed.
So you've raised about 100 good points in that statement. So I think what I want to just summarize is say a few things. Business fundamentals have not changed. So you still need a good business plan. You still need advice. You still need, because you've never done this before, you shouldn't quit your waitressing job just because you got $500 on a YouTube hit. It's still a business. It's still profits, losses, expenses, overhead, and still talking to people who've done this before, even in the new economy, is so vital. You raised so many other good points about sort of barriers to entry. The fact that barriers to entry have reduced, that overall, I think that's a great thing. I'd rather see that everybody has a chance, that sort of it becomes democratized, that everybody sort of has a voice and everybody can get on market as quick as possible. But the fundamentals haven't changed. You still need a marketing plan. Just because you've released, balance beam videos onto YouTube, you want hundreds and thousands of people to see that, because there's a few other videos on YouTube, believe it or not. And so just because you're up on YouTube doesn't mean people are seeing it. Are you creating your channels, distribution channels, email distribution lists, social media chains? Are people sharing your stuff? Are people seeing your stuff? And so what else are you doing to get in front of audience? And And this goes back to sort of what I talked. This goes back to just the original networking, not social media networking, but just one-on-one relationships. I wouldn't be in front of you right now on this program if I hadn't met you at an excellent one-on-one in-person networking event. So, everything is changing, but everything's the same.
Right. You raised up an amazing point, and it came out of me when you were mentioning your expertise in crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, because we've seen some campaigns, and you've seen some too, I'm sure, riding up and down your news feed where people don't understand that it's systematic and there has to be a strategy to it. I'm seeing crowdsourcing, crowdfunding things for nonsense, absolute nonsense. And some that were really good ideas but executed so poorly. And I think part of it, Michael, is people don't know that you exist in this realm. When I think of lawyer, especially the publicly traded, privately held companies that you work for and all the many dimensions that you have, I wouldn't think outside of like non-compete, patenting, trademarking stuff that kind of comes up in your head when you think about startups and businesses. I wouldn't know to go to you for that expertise level. So I'm grateful that you share that, because we have a ton of what I call careerpreneurs who are professionals just like us that have professional hats. I'm a clinician, you're a lawyer, who are also entrepreneurs, and they have no idea who to go to for those things. So I'm so grateful that you leverage that little humble piece of information that you otherwise would not have shared if I didn't pull it out of you.
Find a video we recently did, 6 tips for a successful crowdfunding campaign, on one of my clients' sites, mynewphilly.com, a new media site for Philadelphia, all good news. So lots of good stuff, lots of great stuff happening in Philly. This new economy just gives a lot of people a lot of opportunities to make money, to connect people in a whole different way using basic business fundamentals. It's all the same.
You rock. So one last question. What do you do to stay focused?
What do I do to stay focused? So I probably have goals. I mean, like as a lawyer who's still in only my 3rd year, I haven't had a paycheck in about 26 months now, having my own law firm, but all's good and growing. I sort of have some goals that I want to achieve, personal and professional goals, and I write them down. There's things I want to do. I don't think I'm going to be a lawyer for the rest of my career. There's other things that I'd like to do. So I just keep growing my network by meeting people I want to get in front of, people that I want to meet, people that inspire me, and I find a way to get in front of them to just learn from them. There's so many amazing people in our city, in our country. So how do I stay focused? I mean, I just look at, do I wake up every morning and do I say, this is going to be another great day? 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 7, the answer is yes. I mean, you don't have to have long-term goals. If you're paying your bills, putting a little away, making your kids happy, and, looking at some vacation time and just trying to balance your life.
Absolutely. You raised such a good point on every level. This is why you're Michael Adler, Esquire, the so non-humble man, so you say. But clearly, you won't talk about yourself if no one tells you to. I love it. You're amazing. All right. Everything that you said was awesome. Geocaching is clearly something that you would recommend for people to do. But what about to read? Clearly, you're an academic, so I know you read a lot. But what would you recommend for people who want to read to bring it down?
Yeah, so you'll be surprised by this answer. So I'm not really a sit on the beach kind of read guy. But there are some books I've read that I think are important to me. First of all, like Freakonomics is a book out there that I just enjoy. It's, I think by Steve Levitt. There's a series of 3 or 4 of them. I just enjoy looking at everyday things, kind of Seinfeldian a little bit, but looking at everyday things in an economic sense. Each chapter is an easy read. You can read one chapter at the beach. You can read another chapter on the toilet. You just read it. Just read the book straight through. I've really enjoyed those series. There's a few other books that I've read that I always recommend to people. There's a guy, he came in Philadelphia and spoke. His name is Michael Port, P-O-R-T. He has a book called Beyond Book Solid. Again, this is more of a business book, but it talks about things that I've taken to heart as soon as I've heard him speak and bought the book and signed it. And things like the red velvet rope theory. As professionals, work-life balance, we all have to sort of guard our time very carefully, guard our business very carefully. And in a non-snobby, non-way, you sort of want people to want you a little more than you want them. So you put this red velvet rope around it. And, I think, that he explains it much better than I do, but I think it's a phenomenal book. There's also another person who, I'm going to tell her, I'm going to shout her out on this one. She's from this area. Her name is Neen James, Neenj. She writes productivity and time management, mostly for a female audience. But, the little things in her book, little tips, have just really helped me in scheduling my day, which starts very early and goes very late, but has lots of breaks in between. And those are very important things. It's just keeping yourself on an even keel on a very long business day.
Yeah, I'm going to look up Neen because you're like the fifth person to mention her to me in probably 2.5 or 3 weeks. So there's something in the universe about me and Neen James. So I'm definitely going to look her up, courtesy of you.
Yeah. She lives, I think, in Doylestown. She's from Australia. She's a great speaker, great author. So yeah, good stuff.
That's awesome. And I want to, kind of segue with that point around the Velvet Rope. I have not read that book, but the concept of exclusivity being sexy is very important. The reality is you don't want someone who's always available, because that means that they're not doing what they need to be doing for themselves, or they're probably not as focused as they should be in getting something executed. There are a lot of people out there with ideas who want your help, who say, Michael, I need help with all these projects that I have, and you're waiting through 5,000 conversations of all these things that you're telling them and going through, and they never actually start process A to get to process B because you're coming in at process C, and it becomes a waste of time. So you have to have a filter, and like you said, in a non-snobbish way. So if you have a system in place to help you with that process, that's the best thing to do. But I think exclusivity is sexy.
Yeah. So, the other thing, all day, people are communicating with us. They're calling us, they're emailing us, they're texting us, they're sending you LinkedIn notes, Facebook notes, tweets, and all sorts of ways. And you got to have a filter. I personally, and my clients now know, voicemails are kind of last triage. Like, voicemails are no longer important. And emails, I get a lot of emails. I'm very responsive on emails. And I'm extremely responsive with text. That's just the way I am. But I've had clients that text me and say, hey, I sent you an email, go check it out. But, we all have to know what works for us, but you can't be like instantaneous communication with everybody. You got to sort of let things go, let things pop just a little. But I also try to not let, a voicemail go unanswered before the sun goes down, or an email, and just be responsive before you go to sleep. I like to clear things out so I can sleep well. And I do sleep well.
I know you do. You're awesome. I already know you do because I can see it on your face. Some people wear all of their stress on their face, and you do wear it, and right now you don't have any. So I know you had a good day.
It's a Monday. So yeah, we'll see. See me by Friday.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat with you there. Michael, you have been amazing, and expectedly so. I didn't think anything different than what I got. It was incredible. I'm glad you were open with me and you allowed me to pull all those other balls that you juggle every day out so everyone else can know that you're not just a lawyer, so to speak. Although being just a lawyer is cool, but you're more than your profession. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Tell everyone who is interested in any of your hats how to follow up with you. How can they connect with you?
Sure. So my email is madler9000@yahoo.com. That's my personal email. Everything goes to me. Do we put cell phones on? Email's best. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter at madler9000. Connect with me. I love to stay connected with people. I have a law firm page, the Law Office of Michael Adler on Facebook. I'm easy to find, and I'm looking forward to connecting with everybody who's listening.
And if you're part of the creative world, you'll probably see him walking around somewhere doing something awesome. So look out there for Art John and myphilly.com, right?
My new Philly. Yep.
Awesome.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. You stay right there. Don't go anywhere. Balance beamers, amazingness. I promised it. I delivered. It was just that simple. Thank you for taking the walk on the balance beam with us again. Stay tuned because you have more tools to infuse right after this. Welcome back to another empowerment just for you. I want to have a small moment with you just to talk about the things you need to do when you're feeling down and doubtful. I want you to do something a little courageous, a little bit feisty, and maybe something a little unorthodox. I want you to pull out the boxing gloves and stand toe to toe with you.
It's something we have to do often. It's something some of the industry experts and I have talked about countless times on and off camera. When you're at a place in your life, when you know you have all the tools you need, you have everything you're supposed to have, yet you're still doubting your next step, your next level, the possibilities, it's time to put everything down and literally box it out with you, because it's all in your mind. We all go through it. Speaking to myself first, I definitely have been there. When I know that I am fully equipped to move forward, to take the next step, to make this difficult decision, or maybe one that's not difficult, but it's so easy that I think there's something sneaky behind it. You have to stand toe-to-toe with yourself and say, listen, Naketa Thigpen, John Snow, David Cooper, Sally Appletree, whatever your name is, you got this. And if you weren't sure before, you'll be sure by the time this moment is over. You literally have to box it out with yourself. I hope you enjoyed this empowerment moment.